Hi guys, welcome to episode 3 of the podcast. So today we have with us John Fitzgerald. John is a really well accomplished coach and also physique competitor. He's a young guy. He's done an awful lot so far in the relatively short time he's been on the scene. And I wanted to get John on because I think John has a really kind of interesting take on the fitness industry. He's also a young dad as well and really busy guy. And I just wanted to get John on just to touch base on all things fitness industry this week. So, John, that is your introduction. Do you have anything to add to the introduction? I'm sure you do.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Annie, and delighted to be on. It's really nice to be on a podcast to kind of tell my story and hope it reaches out to a lot more people as well.
So, just I suppose, John, how long are you in the fitness industry?
I'd say I've been training since I was around 16, so nearly 16. So I'm 10 years that way. Even more. Kind of bad at maths.
That's right. So I suppose one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, John, is because you're kind of, in a lot of ways, kind of like myself, that you built everything from the ground up and you didn't get any handouts. I know that for a fact. You didn't get a fucking single thing handed to you. And I saw step by step how you built your business up now, from kind of humble beginnings up to where it is now, and very gradually. And I have a lot of respect for anyone who kind of is, has the balls, I suppose, to go out there and make something of it. Obviously right now things are tough on business owners, but look, we'll try not to harp on that too much, but there's going to be a bit of a, don't worry, we'll get back to a regular thing after this COVID stuff is done. But just in terms of your own backstory, John, how did you get to where you are now?
So I basically, before, when I first started lifting when I was younger, I was actually a powerlifter. And then I went into marathon running, and then I became a physique athlete. So it's like three kind of extremes to one. But I was always addicted to fitness, always in the gym. My dad brought me every weekend. He was the first person that bought me a gym membership, and it kind of drove on from there. And the gym was even when I was younger, the gym was the only place that kind of took any problem I had away. If I was in a bad mood, it turned into a good mood. If I was in a bad day, it turned into a good day. So the more I spent in there was just the more I found better on me.
Yeah, and just as far as turning into a career, what made you kind of want to become a trainer and coach people? Was it the fact that you saw that how powerful it can be for people, and you wanted to kind of transfer that to other people?
Yeah, definitely. So what if because I spent so much time in the gym, even me and Athea, I used to travel all over Ireland to go to different gyms, and then that was our thing, that was our weekend thing. It's mad. And then I used to come out of the gym, I used to have a little notepad, and I used to write down, okay, this machine was good, love this, love that. And I just became kind of obsessed with it. And then I became, I loved the fact of helping people. I actually wanted to become a fireman because my dad was a chief officer. But then I found out I was literally no good with blood. If I seen a sight of blood, I was on the floor. So, but I think no matter what, I never did well in my leaving cert. I wasn't really the best in school. I used to actually sometimes go to Dawson School and go into the gym and just spend hours in there. But I always kind of had a passion of helping people, making sure they kind of went down the right path. They didn't fall into any mistakes or bad habits that I fell into. And I kind of learned from myself then, because I probably made every mistake underneath the sun in the fitness industry. But it kind of built my knowledge to where I am now. And I always thought I was going to be just a PT. But then when online came into my life, it completely transformed it. It brought me to train a lot more people from just sitting at home on the laptop or sitting upstairs in the office in the gym and just designing and helping people out.
Yeah. And I suppose we touched on too, is that you've managed to build your own facility. You're in Limerick, isn't it? West Limerick?
Yeah, Athea, small tiny village.
So your own facility is very impressive, because I know for a fact, following you kind of literally just slowly acquired equipment and handpicked everything that's in there, which is cool. So everything in there is there for a reason. There's a purpose behind it. So just a little bit about your own business, kind of a bit of a background into the business that you run, the physical business. Obviously right now we're in lockdown, so that side of things is on hold for now. But let's assume it's not. How do you run that business and day-to-day runnings?
Yeah, so with the lab is kind of like we built it from scratch. So there's myself, Liam, and Podge in it, and we built it when it was literally four walls. The place is falling apart, and we had to do everything ourselves: paint in, redo the walls, fix gutters. And when you actually see it in the village, people look on the outside and they be like, "Oh, that's all right." But then when they walk in, they're like a lot of people have said to me, "Holy shit, how is this gym in Athea village?"
Yeah,
Joe, because there's not really many. I won't use the term like bodybuilding gym, but there's not really many gyms that have a lot of machines that we would have.
yeah,
But the gym we kind of run is just kind of like for our clients or online clients, PT clients. They all have membership. Runs really well. It's not a public gym, so there won't be like crowds and crowds in there.
yeah,
Sometimes it can get busy if there is coaches in there coaching and all that. But it runs really well, and it kind of built at a speed that I was like, holy shit, how is this even happening? It was like my dream just came true overnight. It just like it was a snowball effect. You know,
yeah.
1 minute we were just thinking about getting the unit. The next minute we had it. The next minute I was buying machines. I was taking the machines I stored over years away and setting them up. And then after a while, all the second-hand machines we sold, bought new machines, and everything there's brand new. But people love it. So like when lockdown came, we actually built it during the first lockdown, opened it, got closed again, opened it again, and got closed again.
Yeah.
But every week it just got busier and busier. I think word kind of got out. And before I knew it, my phone was hopping every night. People
Yeah.
ringing, how can I get into the gym? And so, yeah, it kind of grew very, very fast. And the side of business that people don't teach you about is kind of like, like what my accountant taught me in solicitors. You need that side sorted before anyone walks in the door, make sure the contracts. So that's kind of the messy side, the headache side. But, I had to go through all that. And once I got all that sorted, like we were good to go.
Yeah, I think you probably like the way I look at it is that when I was like 15, 16, 17, 18, I started training when I was 16. So I'm training 14 years now. And one of the biggest things that I wanted to achieve, like literally one of the biggest things I wanted from literally as 15 years old was to own my own gym, like was to have my own
Yeah.
gym. That was the dream. And whether it's public gym or a private gym, I'm obviously a private gym owner with a PT studio, but to have your own gym and put your own stamp on it is
Yeah.
it's a massive achievement. Like it is a big deal. Like, and I think it's something that I get a question probably once a week from people asking me like either one of their things is that I want to open a gym. It's usually young guys in their early 20s or late teens. They want to open a gym in the future. That's their big goal. That's their aspiration. Or they, they're asking me like, how do I do it? And if it was that easy to answer, I
Yeah,
could
it's
answer
not.
in a message back because I think I'm all for people having really big goals. Like you should have goals like that seem impossible to people. I'm all for that. But I also people the stark reality of running a business in Ireland is it's not pretty. It's one of the hardest countries in Europe to run a business by far.
Yeah,
There's huge bureaucracy in this country. Also, as well, when people think of I want to own a gym, they don't think of the logistics as well. Involved there's an awful lot of logistics as well that are completely ignored. You kind of figure those out as you go along. It's one of those
you
things that
do.
even if you have like a business degree as a background, or if you had, let's say, a business degree, it's not enough at all. Like literally is not enough at all to cover you, because the practicalities and the day-to-day runnings of a business and the things that you learn while doing it, you literally can't learn those off a course. You can't learn them off a PT course, for
No.
absolutely sure you can't. um and there's a lot of like day-to-day operations that you literally just have to learn by doing. So I'm always telling them like, yeah, absolutely go for it. But end of the day, there's jobs that people don't want to do that you have to do,
Have
and
to.
you have to get your hands very, very, very dirty.
Yeah.
Literally hands down toilets and in septic tanks and that kind of stuff. And like, I first admit it, like, I clean toilets every week. I literally, like, I get my hands dirty all the time. And I paint walls. I do DIY work. I do plastering. I do like everything you can imagine. I have done, and you have to be willing to do all those things every single week. Like, there's going to be leaks. There's going to be piping to be done. There's going to be like things that burst, and it's almost every second week there's something. And you think you get to a point where like, oh yeah, I have all the problems sorted now, and then all of a sudden, then like a wall falls in or something. Like,
Yeah.
that happen, especially if you have an old building like I have. Um, so it's one of those things where like it's great in theory, but Jesus, the reality of it is very, very tough. Obviously now it's even more so because the level of government support is absolutely tiny. Trying to keep a physical business going. So I suppose survival now is the main thing. Literally just have enough to keep it going, float it,
Yeah.
and then when things come back, then make money from it. But I suppose you obviously see as well that there's a huge upsurge and uptake in online coaching now as well. And I think a lot of people are kind of capitalizing if they're smart. They're pivoting towards online coaching. And again, you're going to have people who kind of are resistant to that. They usually guys who have big egos, because you're telling them, okay, there's no gym and you're going to have to train from home. And the resistance is, oh, well, like, training from home is crap. And that's immediately you have to say, like, oh, training at home is crap. Bands and this and that and that. And they go like, oh, like, that's not the same thing. And like, yeah, it's not the same thing. No one said it was. Nobody said it was the same thing. But if you take the attitude of like, what's the point? I only have XYZ. Like, it's a very defeatist attitude, but B, it's a very weak mindset. It's such a weak mindset. And that's another thing I get every week, and usually from guys, can I train from home? Yes, you can train from home. Like, I literally just let them know that there's things like tempos, you can do isometrics, you can do like, there's so many things you can do, so many methods you can employ to actually, okay, you might not like be able to get ready for the Mr. Olympia competition from home unless you've a full gym, but you can still actually stay in really good, relatively good shape and keep yourself at a good level so that when things open back up again, you're not starting from scratch. You're at least maintaining some bit for your physical health, but also for your mental health, obviously too. But you've probably seen a little bit of a rise in the online stuff as well.
Yeah. And like as well, a lot of people they'll concentrate on the home workouts and nutrition, but they have perfect timing to work on their sleep, their stress, their steps. They have that bit more time to work on themselves, but they only concentrate on, oh, I don't have, with say like this bar, I don't have a snip machine. Like you can do so much, like you said, with dumbbells, a pair of bands. It's about flipping a person's mindset in there, and we can achieve so much here and get you in prime position again for when the gym does reopen. And I think a big part of it is definitely 100% mindset. I think a lot of people kind of realized from the first lockdown, they're like, oh, I'll just watch Netflix now for a few weeks, but it went on for months and months, and people got sick of it. And then the online kind of business just exploded. Like it just blew up. And I think a lot of the time you get the person going, oh, I'll wait till the gym's open, but they're like, you'll never know when this COVID thing. Yeah, you're going to be waiting. You could be waiting next year sometime, but I think a lot of people are copping now that their health is very, very important. And with online training, it's just not, giving a person a plan and a program. You look into other aspects of sleep and stress, their digestion, how do they move well, steps, all things like that. But yeah, it's definitely a part now where online has just really, really blew up. But in that kind of saying that as well, I think people would want to always do their homework and research into coaches, because you probably know there's a lot of gangsters in the fitness industry. So since online blew up, they're all like, everyone's jumping on online coach. So
that's a good point, right? On that, if people are listening, what are good prerequisites? Like what are good boxes to tick if someone is looking to get a good coach?
Yeah, so like you'd always aim for, like, it's a results driven business, so you'd always want to aim for, would say, results, video kind of feedbacks of how they were with that coach. You'd always kind of like make sure, say, on your Instagram, that you tag your clients so people get onto your clients, or your clients could have a different source of friends, and it's all connected. So the friends get on to him and say, "Geez, how is this coach?" And he'd give you that feedback. But the main thing is putting up information on your Instagram, good information. You know, putting up kind of training videos. You know what you're talking about. Putting up results, and putting up videos of people on their experience with you.
Yeah. I think that's what we call social proof in the industry. So social
Yeah.
proof is obviously proof in the pudding kind of thing. You can qualify, like, because again, I think with coaching, um, someone can throw up tons of social proof of one type of client. So, for example,
Yes.
like let's say a coach works with competitors, and like the 90% of their clients are competitors. Like those people are going to get really, really lean. Like their before and after is going to be the person incredibly lean. They more than likely followed a very, very, very strict style regime. But I suppose if you're the average person, like let's say if you're a Gen Pop and you're just a normal person and you want to get in better shape, you want to feel better about how you look, you want to fit into your clothes better, and you just want to be healthier and have a better mindset, like just make sure that if you're looking at someone that this is my advice to people, is that make sure that they also have proof of working with someone like you. So
Yeah.
try to find someone that kind of resonates with you, that is kind of similar background or scenario. Because again, that's another thing too, is that the program that's given to people, it varies on the type of client and the type of results they want, because everyone's kind of looking for something different.
Yeah.
um, but that's huge, is that I suppose they have the evidence there that they can do it. I'm always telling people all the time that, and again, I get backlash for this every once in a while. I think now this is granted the person is very well educated, like formally educated, informally educated, continuous education, um, that they're a decent human being, that they're a good business person, that they're diligent. I think if you're a trainer, you should be in shape.
Yeah.
And
Oh
so,
man, 100%.
so much hassle.
I, I always laugh when you put kind of things like up that, like, cause,
I have to pre-qualify it, because I'm waiting for the person to go like, well, if you have a six pack, it doesn't mean you fucking know. Like, yeah, I just said beforehand, pre-qualified, they have to have all these things, but on top of that, they should be in good shape. And now,
yeah,
good shape is different for everybody. I'm not saying you need to be like ready for, like, Mr. Olympia every week, but I just think that coaches should practice what they preach, and
yeah,
anything that you expect of your clients, you should be willing to do.
yeah,
Because I'm kind of old school in that, like, when I look at a coach, you're essentially, if you're a coach, you're a leader. Like, that is your job. You are a leader in that field. You might have clients who are CEOs, or who might be like, high up in companies. They're the leader in their field. They're coming to you because they need a leader in the thing that you're good at. So I think it's kind of paramount that a coach just literally looks the part and does the part, so that they are actually, like, and again, even like the likes of yourself and myself, like, we have, dad talking bit of crap food as well. We have, like, we enjoy like a wide range of food. Like, we don't just stick to chicken broccoli rice 5 times a day. Like,
yeah,
I have lots of things I enjoy every day. I fit it into my lifestyle if I'm just just staying in generally good shape. But I think that's the one of the biggest messages that I want to kind of get across, is that we should expect more of, like, there's nothing wrong with expecting more of people, especially if they're professional at what they do. Because if
yeah,
they're, just like you said there, with kind of there's a bit of cowboy element to online coaching, because the barrier for entry is very, very low. You're going to get a lot of deadwood. You're going to get a lot of people
yeah,
who are just looking to make quick quid, not
quick,
very
yeah,
focused, very responsible. You're going to always have it, and you're going to have it because it's an unregulated industry. And again, just there's no barrier to actually get into it. There's no
I
letters.
think you need to create that good connection with your client as well. Like, for instance, for example, we'd say if a client came to you, I want to do a photo shoot prep, and you never did a photo shoot prep, you wouldn't have a great connection with, say, like towards peak week and stuff, what they're feeling, how they're going through it, things like that. You really needed that connection. That, oh, look, I went through this as well myself, this
Yeah.
week is going to be tough. You're going to, there's things like that personally, that I'm the same boat as you. I think you do have to be in shape to, to help your clients out as well, like, because they look at you and they look up to you.
Yeah.
They want to be kind of like in the same boat. Well, I wouldn't say the same boat, but just kind of, you're like you said, like, you're their leader,
Yeah.
and you lead by example rather than,
I think
like,
it's
you can't tell them, okay, eat all this and then you go home and just eat constantly shit
to
all day.
yeah, be a
Yeah,
hypocrite.
yeah,
Uh,
be hypocrite.
like again, it's because there's been so much. There's been a huge addition to the fitness industry. It's grown so much and so quickly, and that's great. It's fantastic. There's a lot of people out there who need help. Like, there's a lot of people out there who need help, and there's now a lot of people coming up who can provide help. It varies to the level of what they can provide, but just on what you're saying there, it's a very good point of, uh, let's say you have someone advertise their service and they say on a bio, and this is not a knock against anyone, but I'm just saying, they say strength and conditioning specialist, uh, fat loss transformation specialist. Uh,
Yeah,
they say like plyometric specialist. They say like, hypertrophy specialist. They say like literally everything they can absolutely mention. And just so people know, you having a basic PT cert does not make you a strength and conditioning specialist. That does
yeah,
not make you. That is a different thing altogether. You're not that unless you have that piece of paper. You're not that. You're also not technically. You're not a nutritionist. You can give nutrition advice. You're not.
right. Yeah.
You're also not a dietitian. That's a big one.
No, yeah,
That's a legal term. But I suppose it's just with coaching is that if you know what you're looking for, go to someone who literally does that and does it a lot and does it really, really
yeah,
well, rather than go to someone who goes, you have a goal and you go to them and you go like, I want to do this. And they go like, yeah, I can help you with that. And
yeah,
you're like, okay. They've never done it before. They've never helped anyone else do it. They are literally doing it fly by the seat of their pants kind of thing. They're like, they're winging it as they go along. Your result is not going to be pretty. And especially as well for a contest prep for physique competing. So myself and John prep people who compete for physique competition, and that is a very, very, very specialized thing. It's the furthest extreme on the spectrum of getting in shape, and
definitely.
there's a lot of variables there that you literally don't get taught on any course. Um, there are courses out there that are like bodybuilding specialist courses that certain companies, and I won't name names, that certain companies do, and then you get a piece of paper and says that you're a bodybuilding specialist, but you're not a bodybuilding specialist. You do that, you get that piece of paper from said companies, who we will not mention, but you're not at all. You are not a bodybuilding specialist. I suppose, especially for that area, like I've seen and heard literally the worst case stories you could ever hear. You've probably heard them as well and seen them as well, of just like shocking coaching and people like not answering phones to their clients, like a day before their show, on the day of their show, not being answerable. Like, it's like the biggest sin you could ever commit, and the same person doing it more than once. Big sin. So I suppose that's the bad of the fitness industry. There's also as well, I'm not going to just say with the bad, there's obviously a lot of good as well. As there's so many good coaches out there as well that do an amazing job, that are like constantly educating themselves, that are investing in themselves. And one of the biggest things I see for a really good coach personally is someone who invests in themselves like continuously and isn't afraid to, literally get their wallet out, put money in,
Yeah,
and eventually what they do is they're just building a better and better service. Like, so it's not just that they're throwing money into a pit, and they're going to build a really, really strong service. And that's something I would look for. If people are watching this and saying like about coaches and they're thinking about it, look at someone who's constantly investing in themselves. It's huge. Like, the delivery of service is like night and day compared to someone who just has the piece of paper, goes in, lads, I'm doing online coaching, and then they they throw you a text with a meal plan on it, that kind of stuff. It does actually
Yeah.
happen. They
Yeah.
literally write on notes on their iPhone, and then they send you notes on their iPhone, and like, here's your diet. And
Like you would be shocked in some stories that you hear, but I think in terms of being a good coach as well, sometimes you need to say no. Like we'd say, for instance, people would get on to me and they'd say, John, I want to sign up with you. I need to get better performance on the football field. I'm a J athlete. I'd say, look, I have the perfect man for you, Joe. It's one of a coach in the gym, Stephen. This is his market. This is what he does. I think this would be the best man for you. Rather than you in your brain, you're thinking, money or Joe service. You have to really always put the people first. So you always have to give them the best service and give them the best advice to go say, yeah, this is the coach for you. I wouldn't rather you spending your money on me and me not providing a good service and coming out of my lane massively.
yeah,
So like it's some people will just try to see it as a sale. Yeah, I'm going to make money here, but do you really want to take on someone that is not just completely out of your lane? You're new into it. You don't have a clue what, you probably know some bits, but you're not, like, as you said, practically qualified.
it's
And I
hard.
think
It's hard for people
yeah,
if they're starting out. If you're starting out and you're in the, you've decided I'm going to be a self-employed person, and it's scary because you don't have a wage coming in every week that you can guarantee on, that you can depend on. It's very scary for people starting out. I get that.
huge.
Just like
Yeah,
that there, it's very appealing to just chase money, just like chase it
yeah,
and not worry about where it's coming from or what it's going to result in. And it's going to result in stress, anxiety, just like you being like, like way out of your depth and freaking out all the time. That money that you receive, and especially if you're starting out as well, it won't be a lot of money. It'll probably be a low ball price range. If you haven't built up no experience, you're going to get an awful lot of stress out of that. It's going to make you hate your job. And I think you will always love your job if you're doing something you enjoy every day, and the people you're working with are like, it's flowing really well, like water. Whereas when there's a lot of issues all the time, you're going to have stress and anxiety coming out of that. You'll actually end up resenting your job. And I found for myself, I've been 8 years, is that um, once you start getting rid of the dead wood, because not everyone is a good fit, like literally for whatever your service that you're giving, it doesn't suit everyone. And sometimes you can't make it fit just because you want to collect money. So that's really, really important. And it's really responsible as well, that if anyone
yeah.
is early on in their career in the fitness industry, that they realize that is like, find your niche. Like it's going to be hard to do. Who do you enjoy helping? Like what kind of populations do you enjoy helping? What kind of populations do you enjoy working with? Do you have the most in common with, that you get a lot out of? And go from there, because if you're passionate about that area, money will come. Like literally, like, and it's cliche because other people have said it before in the past, I'm not the first. But if you're passionate about that area, you will put so much work into it that it's impossible for money not to come out of it, because you're just focused on being the best at that. You will get money, guarantee, promise you. And
People have to remember word of mouth is very, very powerful. Social media is powerful, but word of mouth is very powerful. So you'd want that person to say, you know what, John Fitz actually put me onto this coach for this, rather than, giving him a shit service and someone saying, yeah, his service was just shocking, because that would spread a lot faster.
called integrity, John. It's called
Yeah.
integrity. Yeah. So it's rare in the fitness industry, but it's integrity, that you
Yeah.
have enough integrity to say, look, I'll be honest with you, I'm not the man to help you there. I know someone who can help you. And I think the person coming to you will respect you a lot more for it.
Yeah.
And your social points, let's say your social respect level climbs from that, because people start then to see it as very real, very honest, and like, straight to the point.
Yeah.
And again, when you build that level of trust up, you will get more money, because the more trust you have with the people that are in your circle or the people that are in your wider network, the more they're going to be willing to work with you, because they want to work with you now. You're not just like saying, I do plans. They're like, I like that guy. I like what he's about. I like that he's not bullshitting me. I like that he is just tells the truth, and that's what I want in a coach. Um, it's like one of the biggest lessons I'd ever give to anyone who has, especially early on. Some people who are later on in the industry and still struggling, that's a big thing for them. It's a big hang up, and it's actually, I reckon it's one of the reasons why the dropout rate from personal training is massive. Like the churn rate is huge. So let's say like if 100 people qualify in a month, in like 12 months after that, that 100 people will be whittled down to about 30 that are still left, that are
Yeah.
doing it at the minimum part-time, if not full-time. The rest of them have given up on it. So you have to enjoy it. And just as far as your own training then, like obviously you're in the competing side of things for men's physique. What are your favorites what's your favorite kind of body part trainer? Do you have a favorite body part?
Yeah, like I know I'm a men's physique athlete, but legs is my favorite. Probably like legs and shoulders, but legs, like when people come into the lab, they're like, you have every leg machine in here, because I was like, that's what we wanted. Do you know, I just love legs. And my favorite exercise would probably be hack squats. Like it's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
Some days you get buried, but there are the days you come out stronger. And then it would be shoulders, anything pressing, dumbbell, plate loaded machines, pin machines.
Yeah.
They'd be my two favorite kind of things. But I'm kind of like yourself. I love old school bodybuilding. I love like chin ups with weight hanging off you, T-bar rows, and just the things that, you know, the basics.
They're fun.
Exactly, that are fun. You know, when during the first lockdown, I had a little barn with a rack and a bar, and I'd say I had a leg press and two other machines. But like during the lockdown with the heat wave, they were probably the best sessions I had of just old school bodybuilding. You know, I didn't have the equipment that are in the gym now, but I just love watching old school bodybuilding videos as well.
Yeah, I think one of my all time, like, as in, if you were to ask me what's my favorite exercise and of anything I do, it's a toss up between RDLs, and I'm actually sitting on a hot water bottle here. I managed to pull my hand away. A toss up between RDLs. I love paused RDLs. They're horrible, so nice and heavy, 200 kilos plus. Pause for 2-3 seconds. Them and a good old fashioned barbell squat.
Yes.
I just yeah.
People must say to you a lot, like, what's the story with your calves? Because I remember I watched a video of, was it like about a year ago? You're doing calf raises, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, that is insane.
I don't train that much. I don't train that much. I used to. See, I used to, and I don't anymore. So people always ask me, like literally all the time. They do actually ask me, and I'm not saying like people always ask me. They do actually.
Yeah, but it's a pure man thing. If you have big calves, you're like,
yeah,
oh shit.
I don't have massive calves. They're just like the muscle belly is ridiculously like I have a twig of a leg, and then I have a really like deep muscle belly on the calf, so it looks bigger than it is. It's about like 17 inches. It's not like, that's not massive.
Yeah.
But it's more so that it's just, I used to train calves when I wanted to get my calves really big, because my best friend years ago, he saw slag me because we started training together. Kevin, he used to always slag me that I like girly calves, like really small calves, like
Every day.
constantly, and I used to hate it. And I went away and I would train. This one I was like 17 or 18, and I would train calves 3 to 4 times a week. 3 to 4 times a week, and I would do 2 exercises really, really well. I would do a seated calf raise, and I would do like quadruple strip sets. So I did like 100 rep sets, and I would just do that on its own one day. The next day I would go in then, and I would do like just a standing calf raise in a slip machine on a step. That was a really, really go-to one, and because I never had calf machines in the gyms that I just did that. But the key was that I actually, and it's the big thing I tell people, I really focus on pushing down to the stretch. So if anyone wants to build big calves, there's 2 things you need to do, like 3 things. One is you need overload. Like you actually do need to lift heavy, because if you just lift light all the time, they're not going to get very big. That's a big thing. The other thing is your control of your tempos, and your control of the movements, that you're not like bouncing. You're not like just
Yeah, a lot of people aim for the pump rather than the
bounce,
controlling.
bounce, 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 bounce. And the other thing is that they're forcing the stretch. So they're literally allowing, and you may not have good ankle mobility at the start. It's fine. If you actually start forcing the stretch, you will actually end up with really good ankle mobility, like eventually really, really good, especially under load. But what you want to do is you want to hold the stretch. So hold into the stretch 1, 2, 3 seconds, and then come up to flat and stop, and then go up. Because if you try to come up from the stretch, so if my foot is here and I'm stretched and I try to shoot out of the bottom in one go, what's going to happen is your Achilles tendon, the tendon will actually take the weight. The tendon will shoot you up, but the actual calf, the gastroc, the muscle, won't actually take a lot of the weight. So if you want to get the actual calf, the meat of the calf, to do all the heavy lifting, what you do is you come from the stretch, then you come up here, pause for a second, and then you come up. So what you're doing is you're actually taking like the action potential, the kind of the elasticity in the muscle, you're taking that away. So now you have to actually create a lot more force in the muscle to go from here up to here. So the force production is way bigger to your actual calf. That's if I was giving anyone a lesson in how to build calves, that's it. Like literally
That's
that.
like the title for the podcast. Like, get bigger calves, and you'll have like millions of hits.
Yeah, yeah.
Every man listening to it.
Rule of thumb is 3 seconds in the stretch, 1 second at parallel, and then 3 seconds at the top in the contraction. And do that with a good weight for 10 to 12 reps, and just do it for 3 to 4 sets. And that was the other thing I did. And then I literally go back and do the seated one again 2 days later. And then at the end of the week, then I did the standing one again. And when I did the standing one, then again, I just reduced the load and went up to like 15 to 20 reps with the same tempos. It kills you. It's so hard. But I just had the volume really high. And if you ever watched Ben Pekulski's stuff, that's exactly what he did when he was younger. And I train calves now probably once every month. Probably once a month. But I did train calves 4 times a week for about 5 years.
Yeah.
So
you're doing the same with me with abs. So I never, when I first started, it was an hour and a half of weights, and then it was like an hour of abs. It's like 7 days a week for years.
I had a really, when I first competed, I had the thinnest abdominal wall, like, so the muscles of my abs were like super fucking thin, like they were like really thin, pathetically thin. Whereas, and again, I just trained them a lot because I got the feedback an awful lot. I trained them an awful lot. They're not bad now. My abs are pretty good now, and genetically they would be quite thin, but they're pretty good now. Like for a guy who's training so long, it's just sometimes you have to actually go away and implement what you're told. So like, when people ask me how do I bring up a lagging body part, like there's kind of 2 ways you can think about it. You can go like, just throw volume at it, just throw more volume, or throw more bouts at it. So rather than thinking of sometimes if you just do something over and over and over again, if you just keep doing more and more and more and more and more, you're actually going to get nowhere, because there's not enough of a window for recovery in between. And if anyone's asked me how can I get the most growth, I would say is to have multiple bouts of that body part hit throughout the week. It's the kind of foundation that fortitude training, so Scott Stevenson's training, is based on, and it works. Like in that program, you do every body part 3 to 4 times a week. You get really big. But recovery, that does not mean do like 20 sets 4 times a week, 80 sets a week. It means do like 3 to 4 work sets 3 times a week, 18 sets altogether, and cluster like that. And you have varying stimulus throughout the week. So you vary the stimulus throughout the week. You vary the type of growth you're going to get throughout the week, and that way then it's always novel. It's always going to be continuous growth. So like if anyone's asked me how do you get body part bigger, train it often and train it hard. Don't think of like, oh, throw more shit at the wall. If you keep throwing shit at the wall, it's not going to keep sticking. Just as far as then for yourself, John, like who inspires you in terms of fitness or in terms of just in general, like where do you draw inspiration from?
Like would say when in the fitness industry, I kind of look at, like, I'm a big fan of the hypertrophy coach, so I watch kind of him a lot. And my coach Alan as well, when I signed up with him, he taught me a lot of knowledge and in business. I remember when I first walked into his studio, like I turned around to him and said, I love, like, this is exactly what I want, something to build.
Yeah.
And and like in life, I always kind of draw. My daughter is probably one. Draw.
Yeah.
Every morning I wake up, she laughs. My daughter and my fiance are probably like the number one, definitely, because no matter if I'm in a bad mood or busy at work, two of them are always there supporting me. So
Yeah.
they're definitely number one.
You're obviously then like as well having a daughter. You're obviously doing it for your family. Like a big kind of driver as well for you would be like the fact that you're doing it for your family now. It's not just you. It's not just you. Like you're not just doing it because I want to be like
Oh yeah,
It's not
yeah,
like it's not kind of conceited. It's not like, oh, I'm trying to be like, I'm looking out for myself and owning myself. You're
yeah.
looking after a small family now, and
Yeah.
um,
They always they will always come first,
yeah,
and whatever I do, like I work every minute of the day, and then sometimes I have to realize like, oh shit, like I need to go spend some time with my daughter, bring her to the park, or
yeah,
spend some time with Aoife. And with Aoife knows the prep life of the date nights and all that, like, but
yeah,
like when I'm on prep, like I'm just pure, a gym, home, a bit of study, relaxing, recovering. I'm not really a guy to go out into pubs or anything like that. It's just, just kind of, I like to be in my environment, and she kind of is the same as that as well. So it's really cool.
you find it like obviously the competing side of things is an extreme, and do you find that I suppose from I find from talking to people that if their partner doesn't support what they're doing,
Oh,
it's not going to work.
yeah, it's not going to work. No. And like people said to me, because when I was on prep for 2019 Spring Classic, like people said to me like, why are you in prep with a newborn baby? Like, and I was like, why not? And
Yeah,
they were like, oh, you're not going to be like, my daughter never slept for 2 years. She was up every night. So I do night feeds, and I'd get up in the morning, do my cardio, prep my meals, go to the gym. And a lot of times she actually came to the gym with me. So I'd be training. Like if you'd walk into the gym, I'd be there doing side laterals, and there'd be a buggy next to me, and people would be like, what? What is going on here?
yeah,
And but that's the only time, because she was always with me, and now she's literally grew up in a gym environment, so she'd always be in the gym, walking around. Like people say, she gets my OCD from me because I'm very OCD in the gym. So
yeah,
she'd be around spraying machines, cleaning them down. But yeah, like if your partner is not, in it with you in prep, it'll make it harder on you. Like I think if a person's listening to this and they're thinking about stepping on stage and their partner has no interest in that, you really need to sit down and say, look, this is my goal to do this. This is going to be the amount of hard work that we're going to have to do. I hope you support me and all that, because it does take its toll on relationships. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. Like you would hear stories of they broke up after prep, or they
yeah.
broke up during prep,
Spring
or,
prep, yeah, it happens a
yeah,
lot. I kind of get to like the point I'd make to people is that like you got to explain to your partner as well, like whether they're like even if they are like supportive of it, it needs to be kind of laid out that like, look, this is a couple of months, it's not the whole year.
it's not life.
Look, it's let's say 4 maybe 5 months that you need to get this done, and it matters to you, and it's a big goal of yours. And if they actually support you and love you, they should be like, do you know what, this is important to you. I'm gonna
Yeah,
stand behind you.
definitely.
You know,
Yeah.
and now the caveat to that is that you can't be a total arsehole either. Like so, like
No.
it doesn't give you
Um,
free reign to be a grumpy prick, like, or to be
yeah.
like just like impossible to live with, because you do have to like meet people in the middle a little bit, and like there's going to be times where you're just exhausted, absolutely exhausted. You can barely lift your head off the off the couch because you're like you want 2 minutes to lie down, and it actually your legs feel like lead, so you literally can't even you literally can't think. The thought of moving down the stairs is just and if the other person hasn't done it before, they can't know exactly how it feels, and
No.
you've got to understand that as well as like that their perception of it, like they can know but they don't really know, and you can't be harsh on them because they just don't know. They're not fully aware because they literally can't feel it. It's like if I was in pain and there was something internally wrong with me that was like giving me massive pain, and I just told someone, oh, and it feels like whatever, it feels like I'm stabbed inside my kidney, and they're like, okay, they've never actually had, they don't know because they can't, they've never actually
Yeah.
had whatever that thing is. So very hard for them to understand. So I think it's the balancing act of they have to understand, but at the same time, you've got to play ball as much as possible. And when
Yeah.
it's all over, especially for the lads, make sure you bring them out for a nice dinner and cocktails and wine and dine them and bring them away for a holiday and all that. Like that's a big one.
Yeah.
If the lads are listening, guys are listening, you better
Huge.
plan a bloody holiday afterwards.
Yeah, like yeah, because Aoife actually did. I prepped Aoife for a photo shoot she actually did her photo shoot in December. So now I think she kind of knows, okay, this is what he goes through. But obviously, when you're jumping on stage, it's kind of more of an aggressive
Yeah, it is.
prep.
Yeah.
So she's kind of like, look, Joe, I've been through it, but this is what he, and she, like, it's so weird to say, but I love being on prep. I just love the structure, the training,
Same
you
here.
know, building the knowledge of the food, and but I'd say she kind of was like, this is what he does, and she's always been supportive. I remember when I was in a gaining phase, and I used to, like, when you get like fatigued from eating, like you just can't eat anymore.
Yeah.
She would literally say, like, she would just literally tell me to eat it, and she'd sit next to me until it was gone. It's like, that's good support. Or if I was doing my fasted cardio, and she was like, she'd get up and say, come on, go a bit faster than that, or you need to aim for first place, or you need to think of an overall. I felt lucky with her because she is very supportive. But obviously, we have our days where we pick her on prep, so like normal couple. Yeah.
If you didn't, there'd be something weird, something be up. You have to. Anyone who says they don't have like off days or off moments, their partner, they're lying. They're lying. It's
definitely not.
Like going to, it's just being human. But I suppose like we covered a fair bit there, John. And just if people want to get in touch with you, to work with you, or they want to find out more, or they just want to follow you, like how can they get in touch with you?
So on Instagram, it is just John Fitz. And then we have an Instagram page for the lab. It's just the lab _HP. And they're only my two things. I actually do YouTube as well. It's just John Fitz on YouTube. They're the kind of the three kind of social media that I use.
So those links will be down here. So yeah, the links will be there, guys. They'll also be in the description. So if you're looking for John's links or to find out more from John, just have a look in the description below. If you're on Spotify, you'll have to go to YouTube for those. But John, thanks a million. And look, best of luck for the next few months. We'll get through it. We'll get over COVID, and we'll get back into the gyms.
Thanks.